What's up, guys? I'm going to be starting a little bit of a video series for us here to go over some of the basics of the program and some things that I think are going to be important for us to know in order to go forward with whatever our goals are. Most of us that are in the program right now sort of have the same goals of losing a little bit of weight. So what we're going to be going over today are some nutrition basics and some things that I think are really, really important for us all to understand. Some of the stuff is going to seem fairly obvious, but I don't know exactly what everybody's level of understanding of nutrition is. So we're going to break it down as simple as possible. Something that I understand is this is all science, so some of it might be a little bit confusing, but I'm going to try to make it as easy to understand as we possibly can. So what we want to go over first is basics of weight loss. The only way to lose weight really is by focusing on calories in versus calories out. So we need to be burning more calories than we're consuming or eating less calories than we're burning every day in order to lose weight. So easy way to think of it. 1 pound is equivalent to 3,500 calories. So if I wanted to lose 1 pound a week, I'd have to be in a 500 calorie deficit every day. So basically what that means is if I was burning 2,000 calories and then I was eating 1,500 calories, your body makes up that difference in weight loss. It pulls that difference of calories from your body, either in the form of fat or muscle. So in order to make sure that we're burning more fat and less muscle, we're making sure that we're eating a high protein diet, but we're going to get into some stuff that's even more basic than that. So first thing that we need to be able to do to make sure that we're consuming a certain amount and then eating a certain amount is we need to be able to understand what we're taking in and then also what we're burning every day. So in order to know what we're taking in, we need to know what calories actually are. Calories are a unit of measurement of energy. It's technically like how many 1 calorie is the amount of energy needed to heat up one very small amount, like a super small amount of water, 1 degree Celsius. But what we really need to understand is that food is made up of calories, and then when you consume the food, that gives you energy. When you consume too much food, your body stores all that extra energy as fat or muscle, and then when you underconsume food, your body takes leftover extra muscle or fat from your body in order to make up that difference. So it's pretty simple for us to understand how many calories we're burning or we're consuming in a day because we're able to track our food and what we eat. Now, most of us should be familiar with using MyFitnessPal. I'll make another video on how to use that later on. There's a lot of really good resources out there, but that's how we're going to be tracking most of our foods and what we're consuming. So once we know how much food we're consuming, we need to make sure that that's less than what we're burning. In order to know how many calories we're burning, we need to understand metabolism. Our metabolism is just the rate at which your body burns calories or consumes and uses calories, is able to utilize the calories that you're eating. Something that's good to know is everybody's body has a basal metabolic rate. So BMR is the amount of calories that your body burns every day at rest. So if you didn't do anything except for lay in bed all day, your body needs a certain amount of calories just to function and stay alive, right? To keep your heart pumping, to keep your brain working, all your hormones regulated and everything. So knowing what your basal metabolic rate is, everybody's is a little bit different based on age, sex, height, weight, stress levels, sleep levels, all that stuff. But there's some calculators that we can use online. And I know a couple like different formulas for a good estimation. These are just estimations, which is good to know. Everybody's going to be a little bit different, so we will have to play around with that over time with understanding how we're going to adjust the numbers. But when you have your basal metabolic rate, which is how much you burn at rest, in order to understand how many calories we're actually burning throughout the entire day, you add to that our activity level from our resistance training, our strength training, the amount of steps that we take, fidgeting, a bunch of non-exercise activity that a lot of people don't think of, all adds up to a certain amount of energy that you've expended throughout the day, and that's the amount of calories that you've burned. So in order to lose weight, like I said, we have to make sure that we're in a deficit, so we understand how many calories we're burning, then we measure out how many calories we're taking in. That difference there is going to equate to weight loss. Now, from calories, when we want to get a little bit more specific, what we need to understand are macronutrients. So all of your food is made up of macronutrients and micronutrients. Micronutrients are like vitamins and minerals and stuff like that. Macronutrients are just a basic profile of like the molecular breakdown of how your food is made up, and those will break down into fats, carbohydrates, proteins. Those three things combine to make up all of your food, and those are always going to be measured in grams. So what I want everybody to do is just go grab something that has a nutrition label, and we're just going to go through the nutrition label line by line, and then sort of understand what we need to know, what we need to be looking at, and understanding what each of these macronutrients are responsible for and how much we should be consuming. So when you look at the back of a nutrition label, what you'll see right at the top, there's always going to be a serving size. So everything that you're going to see, the serving size is going to break down how many servings are in the actual like entirety of whatever package you have. And then the amount of calories are going to be adjusted, the amount of macros are going to be adjusted for that serving size. Like this has 3.5 servings in it. So technically, to know how much is in this entire thing, you would multiply all of these numbers by 3.5. And then that is just a good thing, a good rule of thumb to know. A lot of people don't know that when you're looking at something, the serving size is typically a lot smaller than you might think. So a lot of people will overconsume calories. They don't even understand how much is actually in one full package, even though you're reading the label on the back. So after we go through serving size, we go down. Big thing in bold is always going to be calories. The amount of calories in each serving, good to know. We do want to be tracking calories. But what we're going to get into now is all of the subsets of the calories. First one at the top is going to be fat. 1 gram of fat is equivalent to 9 calories. Fats are really, really important. Fats from food don't equate to fat on your body. Just eating fatty foods, as long as you're under your calories, you're not going to gain fat from eating foods with fat in them. Not the same thing. Something to keep in mind, there are some foods that are better for you with as far as fats are concerned. That's like saturated versus unsaturated. The foods that we're going to get the benefit of fats from are things like avocados, nut butters and nuts, olive oils, animal products. All of those fats, a little bit more like naturally found fats, are going to be more beneficial than things that are from processed foods. Fats are important for hormone production, inflammation, brain function, hair, skin, nails, a bunch of different things, especially hormones and like vitamin consumption actually. Anytime that you consume a vitamin, vitamins are either processed with water, they're water soluble, or with fat soluble. So if you were to eat no fat in your diet, there would be a bunch of vitamins and minerals that your body could not consume and could not digest, could not process. So it's very important that we're making sure that we're getting an adequate amount of fats in. Typically when we're on a diet, I like to do 0.3 grams per pound of body weight at like a rough minimum. And then you can go even higher than that. A lot of people that like to eat like a ketogenic diet go super, super low carb, and then the majority of their diet is actually made up of fats. Nothing wrong with that if that's the way that you enjoy eating, but that's not the only way to lose weight. The reality is cutting all those carbs out just makes your diet lower in calories, and that's where the weight loss is actually coming from. So next thing that we're going to go down the list, it'll have cholesterol. We're not going to worry about that. Sodium, we're not going to worry about tracking our sodium. As long as we're consuming enough water, sodium is actually essential for us also. So what we need to realize is your body loses sodium when we work out, when we exercise through sweat. So making sure that we have enough salt in our body to aid in the recovery and the process of our workouts is going to benefit us. So don't be afraid to salt your foods. There's 0 calories in salt. Don't be afraid to season your foods. There's 0 calories in seasoning. So making sure that we can taste our food and enjoy it is important while we're dieting, especially when we're not eating a lot. Making sure that we are eating these like healthier, cleaner foods. Don't be afraid to season anything. The amount of water that we're consuming every day is going to flush out anything that our body doesn't want to hold on to. So as we move down the list after that, we get to total carbohydrates. So total carbohydrates will be listed in grams also. 1 gram of carbs is equal to 4 calories total. carbohydrates are really important for energy levels. So the way that we get our energy is we consume carbohydrates and then utilize the glycogen that we get from them that's stored into our muscles and into our body, and we use that as fuel. So carbs are also not evil. Carbs are not an essential macro, but are plenty healthy for you. There are carbs that are better for you than other carbs, and that's what we're going to go over now. So there's simple carbs, and then there's complex carbs. Simple carbohydrates are things like sugars, white breads, potatoes, the things that a lot of people think are bad for you. Pastas are high in simple carbohydrates. Those carbohydrates, as far as calories are concerned, are just as good for you as brown rice, sweet potatoes, quinoa, all the things that people think are really, really good for you. The difference is the simple carbs, right, that people think are bad for you or evil, technically are easier for your body to digest. So what happens is you consume those carbs, your body can instantly digest them, instantly utilize them, so you get that big rush of energy, and that also leads to that big drop of energy, right? So that's like the sugar rush or the sugar high, and then the sugar crash that you get when consuming super, super high calorie foods like that. Pastas especially like that. That's not going to be as beneficial for us just in the way that we feel. Calorie for calorie, it's exactly the same white rice to brown rice. So I don't want us to think that we cannot consume some of these foods if we really, really like them. Just realize that they're going to make you feel a little bit different and not as good when we're exercising, working out, trying to have energy throughout our day. So the more complex carbs, like sweet potatoes, oats, brown rice, whole grains, those ones are a little bit more difficult for your body to digest, which just means it takes a longer time for them to get into your bloodstream, which means that you have a little bit more steady energy levels when you consume them. That's the only benefit for the complex compared to the simple carbs. But the reality is calories in versus calories out is what's going to equate to the weight loss. So don't think that you cannot consume the more simple carbs while you're on this journey. Another thing to take into consideration, underneath total carbohydrates will be listed fiber. Dietary fiber, we want to be getting 20 to 30 grams of fiber in every day. What fiber is are just carbohydrates that your body cannot, that your body can digest but can't absorb. So it just moves straight through your digestive tract and goes through. So technically when you see dietary fiber, and total carbohydrates, the dietary fiber actually subtracts carbs from the total amount of carbs. All that we really have to realize is that it's really, really important to get a certain amount of dietary fiber in to aid in digestion, especially when we're eating higher protein diets. Protein is a little bit harder for your body to digest, so making sure that you get in the adequate amount of fiber in your diet through things like beans, leafy vegetables, a bunch of other things are essential for us to make sure that your body is moving the food through the tract and absorbing everything a little bit easier. After we go through carbohydrates, when you go down next on the list, sugars are going to be in there. Sugars are carbohydrates, so any gram of sugar is a carb. We already talked about what that does to your body. So after we go from sugars, you go all the way down to the bottom, and then you're going to get protein. Protein is the third macronutrient. It is an essential macronutrient, which means your body needs that in order to survive. What protein is most important for is what is helping your muscles to recover when we're exercising, right? So what we want to make sure is we have a certain amount of protein consumed every day. So I usually use as a rule of thumb 0.7 grams per pound of body weight, or 1 gram per pound of our goal weight should be the goal for our protein consumption every day. Reason we want our protein to be so high is that we're going to be losing weight, right? So we're going to be burning this much, we're going to be consuming this much. This difference is made up in your body's tissue. We want to make sure that that difference is fat and not muscle. So in order to do that, what we do is we resistance train, we break down our muscles, we fuel them with enough protein to grow bigger and stronger, and then that difference is going to be made more so of fat than muscle. Anytime that we're losing weight, we're going to lose a little bit of muscle. It's just the way that it works. You cannot guarantee that you lose 100% fat and 0% muscle, but what we can do is put our best foot forward, making sure that we consume enough protein in order to aid in the muscle recovery and aid in the fat loss. Things that are going to be high in protein, obviously animal products, dairy products, cottage cheese, and Greek yogurt, almost all protein. And then you also have things like lentils, beans, legumes. Some vegetables even have protein in them. What a lot of people don't realize is a lot of your other foods that you're going to be consuming also have protein in them. Rice has protein in it. Pasta has protein in it. A lot of your carb sources have protein in it. Peanut butter and nuts have protein in it. So when I tell you that we have to have 120 to 130 grams of protein, it sounds like a lot, but when you start tracking your food, you'll sort of realize that all of the other foods that you're having that aren't your like protein sources are all going to add up slowly to take a large chunk of your daily protein out, and then you can just make up the rest of it with the lean meats that we're going to be eating. Best things for you are going to be chicken, turkey, lean beef, fish, salmon, that sort of thing. White fish is going to be less fatty than salmon, so you're going to have fewer calories in like a trout or a halibut as opposed to salmon. But the fats that you're going to be getting from the animal products, I don't think are necessarily a bad thing. In my opinion, those are good fats, so as long as you can fit those into your calories, I don't mind you eating protein sources that are a little bit higher in fat. Some other stuff that we want to go over, eating clean is just going to allow you to have a larger volume of food. So if we can eat like 80 to 90% clean, it's just going to allow you to feel better because you're going to get more micronutrients, right? All the vitamins and minerals that come from your lean meats and your vegetables and your fruits and all that stuff are going to be good for you to just make you feel better, your body function better. But eating one bad thing isn't going to throw your day off. You just have to make sure that if you eat that one bad thing, you adjust the rest of your day accordingly, right? If I have some ice cream and it's super high in carbs, super high in fats, we just want to make sure that that amount of calories that's taken out, we're still hitting all of our other goals, which are like staying under our calorie goal and then staying above our protein goal. So that just means that for a couple of our other meals, we got to eat lower carb, lower fat, higher protein. One bad meal, one bad day does not throw off your entire diet. Something else, carbs versus fats, like I said, don't really matter. If you like eating higher carb, eat higher carb. If you like eating higher fat, eat higher fat. What we really want to focus on is hitting a minimum amount of protein and then making sure we stay under a maximum amount of calories. And water consumption. That's the three things that I really want to hit on is water. We want to be trying to drink 3 liters of water a day. We want to stay above a minimum protein and then under a maximum amount of calories. These are the basics that I want us to go over today. If there's any questions that you guys have, shoot me a message or shoot me a text. We're going to be doing these, I want to say every couple weeks based on what I feel like people are struggling with. So if there's a question or a comment or something that you think I could improve on with these, you just let me know. Or if there's a subject matter that you think that I need to go over with you guys, I'm open to suggestions on that also. I've got a plan written out for the next month or so, but I don't mind switching up the order in which I'm doing these if it's going to help you guys out a little bit more. So like I said, feel free to reach out, and if you enjoyed this, just let me know. Thank you.